I want to talk about Rifat and Zifat. So,
Okay.
in the Bible, there is Japhet, one of the Noah's sons. Japhet.
Japheth, yeah.
Yeah. How do you say?
Japheth.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I mean, you can say that well.
So in one, I don't have the quote right now. You can pick up on Google. So it mentions his three sons. Japhet has three sons. One of his sons is called Rifat.
Yeah.
In another passage of the Bible, he's called Difat because.
So remember when I asked you if you would like to hold, not straw man my theology and hold my theology for what it says and how it preserves it.
What?
Would you like to hold my theology's position on how we preserve things? We don't preserve things the same way you do. You know?
This and this. It's look alike.
Yeah.
This is R. This is D.
Yeah.
One passage of the Bible, it's Rifat.
Yeah.
Another passage of the Bible is Difat.
Yeah.
So it's proved that the people who has tried to preserve the Bible has not succeeded because they
Would you say this is a sign of not success? Just because one letter is different?
Yes.
Okay.
It changes everything.
Okay, cool. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't actually, because that's not how history is tracked.
Yes.
No, that's not how. So everything. Wait. Let me pronounce. It doesn't change the theology or the meaning.
When it's about
Let
the
me learn.
Qira'at,
How you doing, man? God bless you.
When it's about the 10 Qira'ats,
Oh my
the
word.
Christian people love to mention this.
Maliki and Maliki is
When I show you
different.
this-
Maliki and Maliki is different. That means the Quran is not from God.
No, it's
Maliki
accent.
and Maliki.
It's accent issue.
It's accent as well.
No,
It is accent.
no,
It is accent.
it's scriptural.
It is accent.
No,
No, it's not scriptural.
Do you read Hebrew?
This is why I
Do
told
you read
you.
Hebrew?
Bro, let me tell you.
Do you read Hebrew?
What is the Christian?
Yes or no?
Before you go into that, what is the Christian position on preservation? Because you're straw man in our argument. What is the Christian position on preservation?
Tell me.
Okay. The Bible, written by men, inspired by God, it was still written by men. It is illogical for you to have a perfectly preserved text for over 1,000 years. Let me land, because otherwise we're going to your theology and I will really destroy your theology. So when scribes are writing it, scribes are human that can make a mistake.
you pick
Let me
and
finish.
choose. No.
It's not pick and choosing.
See?
It is not. It's
Yes,
historical
yes, it
accounts.
is. It is.
So are you saying that every historical account we have them word for word from when the person wrote it? Is that what you're saying?
If Jewish and Christian people make
No.
salat,
Let's
how
answer my
do they
question.
mispronounce something?
Answer my question. It's a scribal error. It doesn't change anything.
It changed.
What does it change? Tell me what it changes.
I show you. Look, in Arabic.
But what does it change in the meaning? What does it change in the meaning? How does it change the theology?
I show you.
I don't care what the name
I
is.
show you.
What does it change in the meaning?
Let me show you.
How does it change the theology? You're just playing words game now.
This is R in Arabic.
Yes.
This is D in Arabic.
Are you?
Hold on. This
Okay.
is R in Syriac. This is D in Syriac. If you can,
Does it?
if you can't write, if you can write the good words,
Yeah.
how do you preserve and have a good transmission?
The meaning.
How?
The meaning.
How?
Because let's talk about this.
I don't have
Let me
that.
land.
I don't
But let's
have
talk
that
about this.
as- You can look the meaning actually.
Let's talk about this. What about the name of this person? Yeah, makes me not go to heaven. What about the name of the change of
What's
the
your
name?
name?
Yeah, Shake your booty. How you doing, man? God bless you. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. Hey, shake your booty. I'm a sheikh, man. You have to respect me, the
Yeah,
ummah.
you told me last time.
Yeah. But what about D and R changes my salvation?
It just proves the people who.
Nope,
try
I'm
to
talking about
preserve this
salvation. That's
didn't
not my question.
practice They didn't practice it. It
Okay,
was just,
Maliki and Maliki, Wash and Dudi have different Qurans.
no,
They didn't
look,
practice it.
no, look.
Egypt doesn't accept
I have
that.
an answer for this.
No, let me land. Let me land.
You learned many times.
I asked you a question. I haven't spoken yet.
You learned many times.
Hafs is not accepted in Egypt. Egypt threw Hafs Quran in the river Nile years ago.
How do you-
Why?
Tu parles français. Je comprends français.
Je parle un peu, j'ai oublié
Comment
beaucoup.
c'est ici, en anglais. Here, right?
Yeah.
How St. Louis, you know, in the United States, St. Louis, they say her. They say her.
Yeah.
That's pronunciation. Are they talking about a place or a woman? They're talking about a place. So how do you say Maliki or Maliki?
Those are two different. Yes, it does change the meaning. That's a whole word change. That's two different words. Maliki and Maliki is two different words.
Okay.
One is
Then
king,
what
one
about
is owner.
Then what about this?
For me, I'm fine with it. Scribal errors, we are fine with scribal errors. As Christian, you have to understand our way of preservation. It's not the same as yours.
Because the preservation is not about practice, actually.
It's preservation of the text. We're not talking about the practice of the people. We're talking about preservation of the text.
That's why the Quran is
tell you.
better, actually.
Can I tell you my? Can I tell you?
Yes, it is. Because
Oh my
the
word!
preservation is-
You're not going to let people
Watch
speak.
this.
I let you speak.
Orally is actually worse. Orally is actually. We have
How
orally
you
as
learn
well.
these
It's
things
actually
from the
worse.
book, right? Wait, brother, you learn these things from the book, right?
Sorry?
These things come from the book, right?
Right.
And the people,
And also the person practicing the book.
So
Okay.
who is the people of the book?
I show him.
Who's the person of the book?
I ask you.
I'm asking you a question,
Sorry,
brother.
I'm not a good English speaker.
You're speaking quite fine to me.
What?
Who's
Do you
the
know
people of
about
the book?
Rifat? You are Christian, right?
I'm an Israelite.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
Right.
It doesn't change any
Okay, so
meaning.
you
Now,
talk
hold
Hebrew.
up.
You talk Hebrew.
I am an
You talk
Israelite
Hebrew.
and I'm a
Do
Christian.
you talk Hebrew?
No, I don't fear to
Do you read Hebrew?
I don't have to.
Why?
Why? Because we lost our
course
identity
you have
when we
to.
went to say
No, we don't have to.
This is not.
Why you don't have
All,
to?
all languages God's
Hold up,
language.
hold up, hold up,
All
hold up.
language is God's
You said
language.
that last
Is
time.
your
Who
Quran
said
come?
that?
Did your
God
Quran
did.
come? Hold up. Did your
Because he
Quran
created
come in
it.
Arabic?
The Quran is in Arabic.
No.
So that means Allah only
Hold
speaks
up,
Arabic.
hold up, wait.
What?
Listen,
means
brother.
Allah speaks
Listen,
Arabic.
listen, my
That
question.
Allah created all the languages so you can
Did your
know each
Quran come in Arabic?
Yes.
No.
In
Guess what?
Hijazi.
Listen to this. The word Quran does not fit your book. The word Quran fit the Bible. That's where the name Quran come from. Mean collection of the scriptures. You never had no scriptures.
Yeah,
Muhammad
because
recites.
it's
So how you have a
verbal.
book?
How do you have a book?
Stop talking
That's a good
bullshit.
They
question.
have a script in Hijazi,
That's,
actually.
how do you have a book?
Brother, we not no problem with Muhammad. Yo, you see, foolish argument. Then they turn on to the book.
It's a point worth addressing.
It's a point that have to be addressed.
It's a point worth addressing.
Muhammad says,
I'm gonna just take it. Just says the word means this, and I'm just gonna take it.
hold
I
up.
mean, you can
Hey, brother, have
rebuttal
I
it.
said
You can-
anything
you can
wrong?
rebuttal it.
What does-
It means to
what does the
recite.
word put
Have I
out?
said anything wrong?
Do you know about...
Show me
You can
where
rebuttal
Muhammad
it.
was
What?
wrong.
He said it's
Do you know
collection of
about...
books.
I don't fully agree with
I
that.
don't make up
You can
words
read,
in Aramaic.
I
I don't make up
understandable.
words in Greek.
100%
Do
understandable.
you know about
Hold on,
Rifat and
hold on.
Sifat in the Bible,
So,
please?
yeah, but bro, it
Do you
doesn't
know-
change any.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change
It
anything.
changes.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Let me show you, Aki. Let me
It
show
is.
you.
I know.
No,
bro,
no.
like, you know,
It's not nonsense.
It is a point worth addressing.
Let me show you I'm not talking
He
nonsense.
seems wants
yeah?
to want to address it. That's
Let
what
me
I'm
show you I'm
learning.
not talking nonsense. Let me show you I'm not talking nonsense. Let me correct
If you
you.
wanna watch it, it's up to you.
They're talking about
Watch this, watch
preservation,
this.
right?
He just said
Yes.
the Quran means compilation of books. It's nonsense.
What?
Look, in the Bible, they talk about, you know, Japhet, one of the
Hey,
Noah's sons.
you wanna come and read for him?
In one passage of the Bible, it
Listen to
says
this.
Japhet was one son.
Listen to
it's
this.
called Rifat. In another passage of the Bible, it says
From here.
Japhet was
Listen, brother.
his son Tifat. Because in Hebrew,
Sahih al-Bukhari.
this is
Get this up.
in Arabic, this
Get
is
this up.
Tifat, this is Tifat.
Sahih
My question
al-Bukhari.
is,
Wait.
what does it change about our salvation?
Since they don't do salat,
Yes.
they don't pronounce it, so they
Scribal
don't know
error.
about it.
What
They
does it
just
change about our
write about
salvation?
it.
Wait.
That's-
Scribal
that's written-
error.
That's written
Please
in the
answer my question.
Quran. That's
Please
the,
answer
that's
my
the
question.
rabbi had
Scribal
misled
error.
the people with writing.
How is that?
I
What
show you the
misleading?
proof.
What misleading
Akhish,
does the change of the name?
Okay, show you the proof.
I actually want him to
I
address
show
the
you
point,
the proof.
but him just repeating the word,
it's
the
a good
letter.
proof.
Because
It happens many times. It happens many times.
wait. You have to be able to dialogue.
Okay,
You know.
let's go.
Him saying
gonna
just
read
because
something.
one letter
Wait, Nati,
within the name
Nati,
is changing
wait,
means
he's
that
gonna
the
read
whole
something.
theology is
He's gonna
changed.
read
I'm like,
something.
what? How does it change the
No, no,
theology?
but it doesn't
I was
have
talking
relevance,
about
though.
the-
I would like for him to
don't have
address
a
it.
The theology
They
comes from
don't
the
have a
text.
book.
But I don't even know who Japheth's son called Rifat or Rivat. I don't know who that is, but I still believe in God. Why does it change my theology?
Why? Because
You're lying.
because
No.
where you get your theology
No.
is
He's
based
gonna
upon
read
the words.
He's gonna read the hadith.
Yes.
So a misreading of those words
Let him read.
Yes.
He's reading
Yeah.
Sahih
But it's
al-Bukhari.
scribal
Let him
error.
read.
We have other manuscripts that will get it right. One scribe can get it wrong, but we have other manuscripts that will get it
But
right.
that's the whole problem there is the thing about
It's your
manuscript
Muslim
tradition.
book.
Yeah.
What early manuscripts do you have? From the time that it's quoting Noah.
The earliest manuscript we have is 200 or 300 years after Christ.
Brother, you see the quote about Japheth and Noah's son is in what book?
It's in the same Bible.
No, but
Well,
which book?
what book in the Bible?
Old Testament. Is it
What
Genesis,
book in the-
Leviticus, Exodus?
I think it's
Here, Ottoman burned the Quran, Natty. Ottoman burned the Quran and
It's Noah, so it's
rewrite the
Genesis.
Quran.
It's gonna be, so if it's Genesis, what's the earliest copy we have of Genesis?
The Septuagint.
You can just
dated from what
say no.
century?
Prior to Christ, and we also have the Dead Sea Scrolls.
From what century?
Well, prior to
Esdras
Christ, I'm
write
not
the
really
Bible,
sure,
bro.
prior to Christ.
Esdras write the books.
This is earlier.
Let's show you
250
who wrote
BC.
the books because
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking
they're
about
now
Genesis
lying
and
again.
Moses, if that's the belief.
We're going to
when
show
did
you who
Moses
wrote it.
exist?
Don't you know?
1,300
Don't you know? You
years
think you can
before
carry
Christ.
the
So that's
Israelites? We are the true Jews.
1,150 years prior to the manuscript.
Yeah.
No Jewish.
So how can we
Jews,
then-
they are used
that's the
in the
problem.
ring.
Yeah, but you know the
Jewish.
reason why.
You're not jumping
Alright,
to Moses.
let's-
Yeah,
let's
but
take
you
it.
know the reason
A
why
Jewish
there is like
in the state of Israel,
all of our history starts from
that means them
Jesus
converted
Christ's
to be
timing
Israelites
is because
by
the way
adoption.
we were
Jews
tracking history
are scattered
prior to
amongst
Christ,
all nations.
when
There
we're not going to be
shall
as
no other
preserved.
doing
Thankfully, the
this
Jewish text is the best preservation of history that we have, which is why historians go to the Bible whenever the archaeologists go to the Bible whenever they're testifying to like any other historical findings.
So how does something in
You're too
Jesus'
angry. You're
time?
just talking.
I'm not angry, man. I'm deaf.
Let me just move this around. Sorry, guys.
We don't even need to go to the Dead Scroll.
How you doing, man? God bless you.
Let's show you who wrote the Bible.
This is Revelations.
You say
How does something in
we're
Jesus'
going to show who
time-
wrote the Bible, yeah?
How does
Give us a
something in
minute.
Jesus' time
Look.
go back to Moses' time? How do you trace that back? How do you fill that gap?
I mean, there's a tradition that's been there for prior to Christ, which is why what Christ also followed.
Tradition is this?
The Jewish tradition, they have an oral tradition
Yeah.
and they have a written tradition, to where everything that couldn't be preserved before Christ,
Yeah.
we have good attestable manuscripts to say that these are the most.
Earliest manuscript is Dead Sea Scrolls.
No,
We was in
Yeah,
yeah,
place,
Septuagint.
When's Septuagint?
and Muslim.
Do you know when the Septuagint backdates
Where I
to?
come from now?
Dead Sea Scrolls is your earliest.
Dead Sea Scrolls.
is your
Okay,
earliest.
let's go say
Yeah,
Dead Sea Scrolls.
How do you fill that gap now? You can't just say Jewish tradition. That's good. What is the tradition?
No. It's the Dead Sea Scroll is the earliest manuscript found. That doesn't mean it's the original manuscript. It doesn't mean it's the first manuscript. So that means there must have been.
So how do you fill that gap?
How do
You
I
can't
fill that
just-
back?
You
Any
said-
part of history prior to that, to
Yeah.
Christ cannot be fully tracked like that.
So then
So the Dead Sea Scroll is it seems to be the direct evidence of anything prior to Christ. So history is already happening because even by finding out about Julius Caesar, finding out about anyone prior to Christ, we use the same. How would I say it? The same way or the same examinations for the Bible. So any of the history prior to Christ, we cannot fully attest to like that and point blank.
Then you have a
Ashkenaz,
theological
right?
position.
Not really.
You have a theological
Genesis
position
10.
that Genesis is
Go there,
the word of
Genesis
God.
10.
Yes.
Leviticus,
Let's go
Exodus.
there,
You have a
Genesis.
theological position that these are the words of God.
I need the Hebrew version.
So I'm saying, if you're saying, sorry, brother, if you don't mind, sorry. If you're saying that the word of we're not sure about it.
You know what?
Okay, prior to Jesus.
I'm not saying we're not sure. I'm saying like
that's the best effort we can come up with. But you're saying, do you believe that it's preserved? Genesis.
yeah. I mean, what we have now is
Based on what though? It's not manuscripts,
to the earliest findings that we can have.
which is what? Through the
The
manuscripts.
Septuagint.
It's quicker.
Through the manuscripts.
Yeah.
But the manuscripts are 1,000 years later.
Or even the tradition of the historians around it, and the
Traditions of the Jews.
of the Jews,
Yeah.
and the historians,
What?
and
Yeah.
like the kings that were around that was testifying certain findings.
So the Jews in the time of the Dead Sea Scrolls, they said that this what we have now is from Moses. So
Yes.
how does that help us? If the Jews
They
in
have
the
an
time
oral tradition.
No, but what is the oral tradition? Do you just blind follow it, or do you know about it?
They have an oral tradition to where they write about it in the Talmud.
Where's the oral in the Talmud?
They also the Talmud came after Christ,
Yeah.
but it proves their oral tradition that goes further back. So they had an oral
they've got a
tradition,
chain.
and they've got and plus this is prior to Christ time, so it's going to be kings and queens and wars and all of that. So they thankfully they were able to preserve their text to the point to what we have now, and plus with the findings that we found of the Dead Sea Scrolls just less than 100 years ago proves that what they were claiming is now true.
From the Dead Sea Scrolls till now, I agree. But we're talking about from the Dead Sea Scrolls prior. Now you said the church, the Jewish tradition.
It's right there.
The Jewish tradition mentioned in the Talmud. The Talmud is a book that started after Jesus.
Yes, but the Talmud talks about the tradition that they had.
Yeah, so it's a chain of transmission that's applied retrospectively.
Since you want to read,
Okay.
here is the
Do you know
original
where you can find these chains of transmission? Do you know where you can find them?
I'm sure I can find
It's called
them.
the Ethics of the Fathers. Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers.
Ethics of the Fathers. Are you talking about the Jews or like Christians?
This is Christians. Sorry.
No, we're
This is
talking
a
about
Jewish
prior.
book. Sorry, this is a Jewish book called Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers. This is where you have Moses gave it to Joshua. Joshua gave it to the elders of
Are you talking
Israel.
about the chain of like the
It's a chain
prophethood?
of transmission. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. So this chain of transmission, this comes after Jesus. So how are you using something that...
I mean, what do you mean? Because that chain that you're speaking about is in the Old Testament. Moses laid hands on Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron lays hands on his.
But how do you take it all the way down 1,000 years? Yes, I can agree with Moses. Anything Moses
oral
said, I
tradition,
agree.
the same way you would claim. I'll hold on to
Yeah,
that
but our
same
oral
thing.
tradition is different. With our oral tradition...
What's the difference?
I'll tell you the difference. Do you know who...
I don't want names. I just want how it's practically
I'll tell you why.
different.
I'll give you an example so you can understand. Ben Bagbag. Do you know who Ben Bagbag is?
I don't know who that is.
Nobody knows who he is. He's just a Roman soldier that's in that chain. No one knows who he is. Okay? Now for us as Muslims, Allah says in the Quran, "In ja'akum fasaqun binaba'in fatabayyanu." If somebody evil or sinful comes to you with news, then verify it. We can't just take news.
How do you verify it?
I'll tell you, we check their precision. Two main things: their trustworthiness and their precision have to be checked.
How do you check their
Hear
trustworthiness?
Hear it.
Because you're raising more questions.
I want to ask, how do you check it first? Because we have our way and we're confident, and we can spend hours talking about it. And I'd love to tell you about it.
I mean,
I just want to know. You mentioned Jewish tradition, and you can't just say Jewish tradition. And like you just said to me, as a Muslim, I can't just say Muslim tradition. We have to verify it. So how do you verify Jewish tradition? For example, Pirkei Avot.
After you finish addressing your part, like how the people that you just mentioned and how
there's actual names in the chain.
That does not prove anything. You're just putting names into the chain.
Yeah, that's the.
So how do you verify that? How do you verify that chain?
For example, the Ethics of the Fathers, which is just the Jewish book, the Jewish writing that talks about the transmission of the Hebrew Bible. These are names. I'm asking how you said Jewish tradition. You accept it.
Yeah,
how do you verify it?
We were talking about. I understand. We are going to go back to Jewish tradition. How it's
you
verified.
verify it?
But
Genesis,
you were talking about your chain of narration.
Yeah.
I want to know like what are the criteria?
Two main criteria. I want to see if you agree with them. Trustworthy in
the person.
In terms of righteousness, not known to lie, not known to steal, not known to cheat, and also precision in memory or precision in writing. These two basic things. A person can be trustworthy but imprecise, or a person could be very precise but they're a liar. So we want.
If a person is a liar, you don't take anything from them.
No.
Hafs is a liar, known to be a liar.
No.
But you take his Quran.
Hafs is a liar.
Yes.
This is not correct. Hafs is weak in memory.
He was known to be a liar.
Weak in memory in relation of hadith, not a liar.
So if you're weak in memory in relation to hadith, it's either you're not telling the truth, so you're not reliable.
No.
He's not reliable.
Misunderstood.
So you take his Quran though.
Yeah.
He's unreliable with hadith, but he's very reliable with the holy word of Quran.
Because the Quran reciters, they have a different standard to the preservers of hadith. Okay.
Let's go back to how people are trustworthy.
I want to know because that's a side point. That's dead. To be fair, I want to know how do you now establish Ben Bagbag? These are two people mentioned in that chain. Nobody knows who they are.
What chain?
The Ethics of the Fathers.
I don't know who those are.
Okay, so what
historical account.
What Jewish tradition do you refer to?
I would say historical finding, historical account. I do not know.
No. You said Jewish tradition.
Yes, as in like the life of the Jews prior to Christ, them living in accordance to.
How does that take it?
But
look.
You're asking me how do I prove the verification of the Torah prior to Christ?
Yes.
And I am telling you how I am verifying it. Historical findings with people that exegete the text, i.e. people that don't even believe in it, or historical findings of people that evidence happening where it was it was described, it was claimed in the Bible, and then we find the evidence in the location, i.e.
Like
the tunnel of archaeological findings.
Okay, but how do you get a theology from that though? We're talking about the words.
The theology makes we're not talking about theology right now. You're jumping. We're not talking about theology right now. We're talking about preservation.
Don't say I'm jumping.
Okay, I apologize.
No, it's not about
I
that.
apologize.
Because
But
you mentioned
we're not
to
talking
him.
about theology
I'll tell you
right now.
why.
We're talking about preservation.
We are because you.
No, we're
mentioned
talking
to him-
about preservation,
Hear
not
my point.
theology.
You mentioned to him that if it's this word or that word, it's not.
That was the position he brought up. Not what I brought
Hear
up.
my point.
That's
then.
not my position.
Hear my point. Why do you not want to hear my point?
But that's not because you're straw man in my position.
I'm not sure. Hear my
That's
point.
his position
Hear
that he
my
brought
point. Hear my
up.
point.
We're
I'm
talking
going
about
off your
archaeology.
words. I'm going off your words though.
Yeah, it's a different point.
I'm critiquing your words, not his.
What was my words? What was my words?
To him earlier, he mentioned the different sons of Noah, okay? The different wordings. Now you said the wording, it may be different, but in overall, it doesn't affect the meaning.
Yes.
Now, in terms of Noah having a son, I agree. But what I said to you after that, if you remember, that we get our theology from the text. If you don't know the text,
Right.
how are you going to derive your theology?
Right.
If there's a mistake in your text,
What
then-
would you consider as a mistake?
so, for example, with this thing now, Noah had one son.
No, he had 3.
So this one son.
This one son,
The
Japheth.
name is Javed.
Japheth, yeah.
Japheth and
Japheth had a son.
Sham.
No,
I was
not
talking,
about sons,
I was talking
about-
about Japheth's sons.
okay, Japheth's sons. Yeah.
And one of
Japheth's sons,
one
yeah.
of his sons is called Rifat.
Rifat.
And some other passage of the Bible said Difat.
Difat
Because
based upon
because
the
in Hebrew,
letter.
the R and the D.
Yeah, scribal error. We have
It
no
is
problem with that.
It's not a major
But he's
one.
claiming
No,
that
no,
it makes a theological change.
Because
No,
they,
no,
they
no.
didn't
I would like for
spoke
him
the
to
language,
demonstrate
actually.
that. That's what he's
my
claiming.
point is, do you agree that in order for us to know the theology that comes from the text, we have to have the text preserved?
We have to have the meanings of the text, because even like the text ascribes to Pontius Pilate, I mean not Pontius Pilate, to like someone like Galileo or any of the great philosophers in the past. I can't, none is coming to mind right now. They didn't write it themselves, and plus by preserving their text and writing them, even prior to like the printing era, it's going to be scribes writing
In
it
their
down.
name.
But sometimes the scribes are going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So we hold historically
Yeah.
and archaeologically, we hold on to meanings of what is being preserved,
The overall meaning,
not just the
specific wording.
text.
Okay.
He's addressing the text issue, and I said it's a scribal error that doesn't change the meaning.
No.
So he's saying he changes the whole meaning of the
when
theology,
it comes to-
and I would like for him to
hang on.
demonstrate.
When it comes to the text, scribal error, changing a letter by accident, is just one aspect. Okay.
Yeah.
We also have interpolation. A scribe can interpolate. Okay. A scribe can remove something.
Yes.
What's the word? Addition, omission, and alteration. A scribe can reword something
Yes,
that he
we know.
thinks is fine, but it actually changes the meaning. In
Yes.
fact, just to mention, from our point of view as a Muslim, the person who narrates by bil ma'na, from the meaning, and the one who narrates word for word, the one who narrates from meaning, if he doesn't know how the words change the meaning, then this is a weakness in his part. And the scholars of hadith, they pick that
disregard
up.
it, 100%.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you now is, how have you transmitted from the Dead Sea Scrolls or from Jesus' time back to Moses? Now, I just want you to demonstrate that. You said the Jewish tradition. Now, the Jewish tradition, where you find that, is in works that come after Jesus, after the temple. Okay, and if you're going for the manuscript evidence of
The Dead
those
Sea
things,
Scrolls.
they come after Islam.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Don't say Dead Sea Scrolls, because I'm talking, how do you fill the gap from the Dead Sea Scrolls prior to the Jews?
Archaeological historical findings.
So you're telling me that a theological statement that has a huge meaning in the Old Testament, for example, God rested on the seventh day, or God was reminded by the rainbow. These have theological implications. Yeah, you're saying that we can accept this because it's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls talks about the Exodus, and we can find some Jewish history in Egypt prior in that time. So you're saying because there were Jews in Egypt at that time that may have left, you're saying because of that, the statement that God rested on the seventh day is true?
No. You're making that's a false equivocation.
No,
to
I'm
start off.
asking you.
You're asking two different questions.
Yeah.
There is historical claim and there is theological claim in every book.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I was to turn it around to you, then you would have to demonstrate at what point of time did the angels bow down to Muhammad and Shaitan didn't. So there is, in any theological book, there is historical claims
How do you
Wait, let me
how do you
land.
establish the word?
Let me land. Let me get there. Let me land. There is historical. There is.
Yeah.
I'm coming on the parachute, you know. I'm landing on this. But there is historical claims in any theological books, and there is theological claims. Theological claims are going to be more metaphysical.
Demonstrable historically. Yes, I agree with that.
So
But
the theological claims. You're equating the both, like when God rested on the Sabbath day, and the historical account of the Egyptians. You can't correlate the two. Those are two different points. You're straw manning.
That's fine.
Okay, I would like for you to address it properly, please.
The wording, God rested on the seventh day. I'm not asking did he rest or did he not rest. The wording of it.
Yeah.
You get that from a book.
Yeah.
And you're saying that book is correct because that book also says that there were Egyptians that left, there were Jews that left Egypt. Is that what you're saying? Because
that part I fall on by faith.
So that's the faith.
Yeah, but the historical claims that the book makes, I can choose to look at the evidence and see if it's true or not.
So in terms,
there are going to be parts. It's only theological books, right? There's going to be parts where you rely on by faith.
You're missing the point. We're not. In order for us to make the theological in paradise as Muslims, we believe in that we will eat rumman, we will eat pomegranate, a type of fruit. Pomegranate, we will eat.
And you drink wine as well.
And we'll drink a type of wine. Yes, and we'll eat the liver of we eat liver as one of the first meals when we enter Jannah. How do I know this? It's only because that I can establish it going back to the Prophet Muhammad, who I have faith in. Okay, so in order to make the theological belief, I have to have the text. So I'm not talking about the theological position, did God rest on the seventh day or not? I have a problem with that, obviously, as a Muslim, but that's not the point. The point is the text that says God rested on the seventh day.
Yeah.
How do you establish that from Moses? Put it this way. Whatever Moses says, whatever Jesus says, for me that's a green tick. I accept. You're saying Moses said this. How do you establish that? That's all I want from you. So you said
historical finding and a chain of, not just a chain of narration. I'm not doing a directional narration. I'm doing a chain of narration of a grouping, like the children of Israel. They have lived there for 3,000 years, and we understand where the change comes in. We understand where the theology changes, but we know all of the text. We have all of the texts that they have prior to. Yes, we don't have. All the way back. We don't. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't have all the way back to Moses, but they did at the time.
How do you know that?
Because they did. We have the Dead Sea Scrolls to prove that they did have it.
The Dead Sea Scrolls comes 200 years.
Listen to my position again. No. Let me. Because now you listen to my position again. Let me listen to my position again. I said there are people. Your question is how do I fill the gap from the Dead Sea Scrolls all the way to Moses?
1,200 year gap.
Yes.
How do you feel it?
I am saying there is a group of people that lived this life, called the children of Israel. They lived this life and preserved it. Thankfully, we have the Dead Sea Scroll. Prior to the Enlightenment era, I'm talking about Jesus' first AD, Jesus' time. We have texts prior to Jesus where everything was then fully testified for, like historical evidence. So we have the text there that proves that these people that are called children of Israel lived this tradition. And I am happy enough to go with them on that. Yep. And then when Jesus came, any historical findings that we want to prove from them, you can prove it. But anything.
Did you not hear my point?
I just answered your point. I don't think you want to hear it.
No. I'm quite clear on what I'm saying. You said I believe that it's been fulfilled because
by faith. By faith. By faith.
That's fine. So don't talk about Jewish tradition. Don't talk about manuscript evidence.
I'm using historical evidence.
There's no historical evidence.
You're disregarding every historical evidence that I've given.
No.
You literally disregarded every historical evidence I gave.
That's wrong.
Yes, you did. I showed you a group of people that lived for 1,500 years before Moses and Moses' time to Jesus' time to this present day, and we know what they had prior to Jesus, where everything was then fully tracked as a historical account. We know what they had in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it proves that the people that were living there for 1,300 years had a tradition with a book prior to Christ. And I see that's evidence enough, like historical evidence enough for me to rely on it by faith.
So you believe that's fine. You believe it's historical evidence
enough for me to rely by faith.
In 200 years time before Jesus, which was 2,000 years ago, 2,200 years ago, there was a book, there was a manuscript tradition by the Essenes, who were a heretical sect according to some.
No, they're not a heretical
Well,
sect.
they were an obscure sect. let's
Yes,
say,
but
an
they're still
obscure- hear my
Jews, they're
point,
not a
hear my point. There was an
heretical
obscure sect 200 years before
You're playing
Jesus.
ad hominem
Hang
on,
that's fine,
upon
that's
them.
fine,
I
that's
wouldn't
fine.
like you to do
could-
that.
How would you like to relate to them?
They're not heretical sect.
Fine,
They
they're
were
not
a
heretical.
Jewish
They
sect,
are-
but
they
they're
are-
just a different tribe.
A different tribe, that's it. That's fine. If you wanted to say that, that's fine. They were a different tribe with a different text to what the Jews have today.
They don't have
Yes,
a different
Masoretic text is not
They
the same
don't
as
have
the-
a different text.
That's why the Jews
They
do
have
accept-
all. They have. We
You know
have
what
all
the
of the same
Masoretic text
text.
is?
They are the same Torah. They are the same.
Why is there different words?
There's no different
hang on,
words.
Different sentences.
Can you please find it?
In
There
the
is no
Masoretic
different-
text, the Masoretic text is the Jews today that follow the Masoretic text. They don't accept Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, no, but that's fine. That's not the that's
Just
that's
like
not
the
point.
cow.
That's not
Okay.
the point. The Dead Sea Scrolls, 200
With the
years,
Dead Sea- with-
200 years before Jesus.
Yeah.
Now Moses existed 1,400. you
Yes.
said. So that's 1,200 years prior to Jesus. So because there were Jews 200 years before Jesus that said one thing, therefore 1,200 years prior to that was
Well,
correct.
it
Or what they
proves.
translated. Is that what you're saying?
For me, it proves that there is a community that lived this life, and I choose. Then I rely on it by faith.
And-
It just proves that there is a claim being made about this group of people.
Yeah.
And then I can choose to live
Yeah.
right by faith.
What does Moses say about these people? What does Jeremiah say about
You
these
know,
people?
you have to let me finish a sentence. You know?
Go on, I'll let you finish. You pause, go on.
No,
Sorry, go on.
I didn't pause, but like
Go on,
you
go
know, they choose. For me, after if they had their accounts, and then I have the understanding that yes, they did live their life in accordance to that tradition, then I can choose to live it by faith. But by then, they become an historical account to prove where I am now, 2,000 years from,
That's fine.
3,000 years from then.
But your faith is in the very people that were cursed on the tongues of prophets. That's fine. So we say to you, lakum dinukum waliya din. You be unto your way.
Okay,
we be
but
unto
it is
ours.
still people that live the tradition, even if they were cursed.
What tradition?
I don't care.
What tradition?
The Sumerians were also cursed.
What tradition?
Well, they could have preserved the
What
text as well,
tradition?
and I say yes.
You haven't been able to establish that they.
I think
Hang
your
on.
points are going everywhere,
No.
but focusing.
Look.
I'm only answering.
My main
Your points
point-
are going everywhere, but
No.
focusing.
My point is that you cannot establish the text. You
Okay,
have
cool.
faith
And,
in it.
I've actually, funny enough, I've actually, my point is in agreement.
Yeah.
I'm saying we have a group of people that live this kind of life
Yeah.
for thousands of years. But in terms of like written history, the most we have testable for those people are for the children of Israel is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's proving what they were claiming at that time and now. At that point, I rely on it by faith. I don't really need.
You know that same community that you believe in. Okay.
Playing ad hominem upon the community does not help your argument, because then they're still an historical
I haven't
account.
landed.
I don't follow them.
You don't follow them.
They're not. I'm not in a scene. I'm a Christian.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Sorry. You
I'm
don't
not
what?
in a scene.
You don't
I'm a
follow
Christian.
them. But yet you faith.
Yes, they had the right text.
They had the right text. How do you know that though? You just believe
Because
in them.
I don't follow them.
you-
I don't follow the people. I follow God.
Hang on.
And
But
God
how-
can preserve His text.
Just look in
besides
the
the
camera.
people.
Say that again. Look at the camera.
I don't follow-
You don't follow them.
I don't follow them.
You
Yes.
don't follow them. Okay. Are they the ones that gave you the text?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I would like for you to
Oh,
elaborate.
you don't
what
understand
mean
now.
by gift.
You don't understand.
What do you mean by
So
gift?
we don't
What
follow
do you mean
them.
by
We
gift?
don't follow them. But
Yes.
they're the ones that gave you the text.
But what do you mean by give? They wrote down the text. They didn't give me the text.
The text that you have.
They wrote it down.
Yeah.
They didn't give it.
Yeah.
So there is a tradition prior to them that they were
and you-
keeping
and you
already.
trust their preservation,
I trust their preservation.
but you
yes.
don't follow them.
I don't need to follow them to trust their preservation.
No.
The same
I
way
mean-
I don't trust
what?
the Roman Empire, but I trust what they wrote about Julius Caesar.
No. We're talking about this is the word of God now. We're talking about
Yes,
us
and I
eternal
believe God
salvation.
can preserve His word besides the people. I don't need to follow the people. I just need to follow God.
Do you know me?
Yes.
No,
Well, I've
you
known you.
don't
I've
know me,
spoken
but
to you a
we've
couple
spoken.
times.
Yeah, but you don't know me.
I don't know
like
you.
that.
Yes.
Okay. Would you give me your PIN number?
That's a totally. That's
No.
such a.
Why?
totally
Why
different-
is it?
I would
Why?
like for you to make the argument make sense
My
now.
point is this: you wouldn't trust me with your PIN number.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've spoken at least. Me and you've spoken before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty nice guy, by the way.
Thank you, and may Allah guide us to the truth wherever it is.
Amen. May God guide us to the truth.
So we've spoken, but you don't know me enough to give me your PIN. But yet you're putting your salvation, your eternal salvation,
Yeah.
in the hands of people you don't
Because-
know. That the prophets, that any remnants that you do get from the text,
Yeah.
themselves say that these people, what have they, what wicked things have they done while I'm alive? What would they do after I'm gone? According to Moses, Deuteronomy. How can we say that we are wise and the Torah of Yahweh is with us when very the pen of the scribes has falsified it? According to Jeremiah.
Oh, well, don't misquote it. Please don't misquote.
That's not misquoted.
Don't
That's
misquote
the actual
stuff.
quote.
Yeah.
That's the full quote.
Yeah, I
I
know,
haven't
but you know,
misquoted.
yeah.
That's fine. Jesus himself went into the temple according to your tradition and flipped over the tables and cast out the why?
Yeah,
they
because
were making
there are
what were they
hypocrites.
doing?
Not changing the text. There are hypocrites buying and selling outside of the temple.
And telling the
And
people to come to them
people
to
can
buy
be-
the birds for sacrifices.
The people can be wrong,
Yeah.
which is why I don't. The same way as a
Yeah.
Christian right now, I'm telling you
Yeah, yeah.
verbatim. I don't follow no priest, no pastor,
Yeah.
no pope. I follow Christ.
But-
So the
no. We're
the
talking about
priest.
the text
But let me
and
give
those
you.
people.
Let me get to that point.
Yeah.
The people can be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but God can still use wrong people, as He always does. He can use bad people to bring out goodness.
What about
Let me.
Canaan
What's
verse?
A and B
What
conversation,
about-
please?
Yeah.
A and B conversation. You know. So
You
the
said I
people.
was a nice guy. I mean, you're not being nice. That's my brother there. Don't,
I know, he's
yeah,
a bit- no,
yeah.
him I actually like.
The initial thing was.
I know, but he's
yeah.
gonna take the conversation somewhere else, and I wouldn't want to do two people
fair
talking
enough,
at the same time.
okay.
You know. So God can still use people that are flawed to preserve His text, even if they're bad people. If a pope, like let's say the current pope, I think he's a heretic and he's
You're not
apostatized.
Catholic,
I'm not Catholic,
yeah.
but I still believe Catholicism is a church worthy of the Lord. So if the Roman Church has kept the tradition of the church since then, but the popes have been wrong and doing wrong things, I can say yes, they are holy in terms of like God preserving His text the way that He sees fit, but the people are wrong. I don't follow the people, I follow God.
But there should
So
be-
I don't follow the Essenes. In regards to the Essenes, I don't follow the Essenes.
Yeah.
I am not an Essene.
No.
I am not a Jew at that time. You know, I don't follow them. I follow God. And God can use
but
those
surely-
people
surely-
that you count as heretical.
No,
you can
that's
use
not
those.
me. That's not me
Okay,
saying it. This is
those
the prophets
people.
in your book saying it. But
No,
my point
there's
is-
nowhere that says the Essenes are heretical sects.
No.
You know.
Okay, Essenes,
But,
no, I said that, but
but
I mean, in
those
general,
people
these are the-
could have been bad people. I think they were nice people, but they could have been bad people. Even so, they still preserve the word of
But
God,
look,
and this is what I
How
follow.
do you know they preserved it though?
At that point, I rely on about faith.
So in
No,
faith in them.
by faith.
Sorry.
No, faith in them, faith in God. Not faith in them,
No.
faith in God.
But then
Because
I can say that the
faith
message
in
of the
God.
prophets. Where's the distinction? Where's the
You
distinction?
can do that. You can say the
That's
message
why-
of the
that's why
prophet,
in
you
the
rely on it by
Quran,
faith.
When
Which
Isa
is fine, you
alayhi
can
salam
do that.
when Jesus came and the prophets came, they spoke
Ma-
with.
okay, now-
Hang on, hear my point. They spoke with al-bayinat, clear, unambiguous truth. It's not just blind faith.
How do you know that?
Hang on,
How do you
it's
know
not
that they
just blind
spoke
faith.
with clear, unambiguous truth?
Why? Because, for example, look at what we have now from our Islamic tradition. Going back to everything that we said in the beginning.
There was a lot of
Hang on,
flaws
hang
in
on,
your
hang on,
Islamic
hang on,
tradition.
hang
Oh,
on.
my bad, sorry.
What we want for a text is that it comes from trustworthy and precise.
So are you saying controlled
And-
preservation?
Huh?
I want to know that position that you just said.
Listen, this control preservation, there's a lot of baggage in it from your point of view.
We don't have control preservation.
You don't. I know you don't. From a Jewish
Yeah.
point of view, the thing is, you do with the Old Testament. You claim you
We
do with the
don't.
Old
We don't
Testament.
have control preservation
So-
even in the
so-
Old
so how-
Testament.
where'd
It
you
was
get-
already translated. The Septuagint, I believe, was a Greek orientation, like a
No,
Greek
no.
writing. So we already have like as different sectors
Yeah.
writing different Torahs at a time. The Essenes had their own, which is why I can actually use that as evidence. The Essenes were writing the reason why they wrote it, to why we found the Dead Sea Scroll, is because they knew that they were going to be going to be at a time of war at some point, and they weren't going to. They had to flee,
Yeah, yeah.
and they had to come back. So it wasn't controlled to one person to write it.
but hang
They
on.
wrote it
But
themselves.
this
The
community-
Old Testament doesn't have
Hang on.
control
But
preservation.
This community now, this community, the Essenes in Qumran, this area. What does their belief say about the Judaism of Moses 1,200 years?
I don't care about their belief. I just focus
No,
on what
does
they've wrote.
their belief, their traditions in preservation.
Yes.
What were their traditions in preservation? If we're
They
not aware of
believe
them,
the
then it's
God
just,
of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
and that's it. And that was enough for you to say whatever they say, whatever they've handed down. Therefore,
It's enough.
that must
It's
have come
enough.
back 1,000
The Dead Sea
years.
Scroll we just found like less than 100 years ago. So an account of me believing in what they say is pretty less. It's pretty less to what you're claiming. I'm not saying we've had their scrolls from then. So our church tradition, I believed it from then. I am saying what they wrote proves what I have.
No.
So it is evidence of. It's an archaeological finding.
It proves. It's an archaeological. It does prove, and I'll fully
It
give
proves
you this.
fully
It
what-
does. It does prove that
Word for
the
word,
text
right?
that you have now,
It's the same.
not word for word. No,
It's
don't
the
say
same.
Word for
It's
word.
word for word the
That
same.
generally, it goes back. The text that you have now can be taken back to 200 years
Okay,
before Jesus.
let me not say
No,
word
no,
for
no,
word.
no, no, no.
My bad,
No,
my
no,
bad.
no. the text that you have now can be traced back in general back to 200 years prior to Jesus.
Can you say that for the camera one
I'll
more
give you
time?
that. What do you mean? This is I'm very vocal. With
Just
that.
a- just
That's
a-
not a problem.
The text that we have now can we go back to Jesus Christ 2,000
Old
years ago?
Testament. We're talking about
Old Testament. Yeah. Yes. You just claimed that.
Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much. I appreciate
that's,
that.
That's woke. Any Muslim that
appreciate
denies that, I would doubt his.
It's very hard to get. You know.
No. Come on, we have to have
appreciate
truthful conversation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll give you. But the point is now, I want you to look in the camera and say 1,200 years prior to the Dead Sea Scroll, we don't have it.
We don't have much text from prior to the Dead Sea Scrolls.
And that's my
And that's
point.
every part of history. I don't, the most attestable preserved historical account is the Old Testament, because everything from then have been destroyed, burnt, or either on rocks somewhere. That's how we're finding it. So the Old Testament is the most attestable narration of history prior to Jesus, prior to first AD that we can find.
But we're talking about taking
So-
it back to Moses.
Yes, but you know what I'm saying? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm saying if it is the most,
Yeah.
it is. That means it's the most qualified in terms of like searching through history. So, even prior to Moses or not, anything that we know prior to Moses, we always go back to every historian, every archaeologist. Whenever they always go back to the Bible
so you
for them
believe-
to find any archaeological findings.
You believe now that archaeologically you can demonstrate that there were 3 million Jews that did the Exodus from.
That's a false equivocation to start off.
No.
Archaeology.
You're saying
Reason
that
why I say it's a false
you believe
equivocation
because it's in the
because you're
Bible.
looking for a specific. No.
Yeah.
You're looking for a specific scenario.
Yeah.
Archaeology doesn't work like that.
Yeah, okay.
Archaeology works in finding. We don't have every detail of Tutankhamun's life,
Yeah.
but we have certain finding to know that okay, these are assumptions of what he could have, how he could have lived his life. So that's how archaeological finding works.
That's fine,
It doesn't say verbatimly.
But you believe
this.
you believe there were 3 million Jews in Egypt.
Yes, that's
Yeah, based
if
upon
the Bible
based
says.
on the Bible.
Yes.
Okay, but in terms of the archaeological evidence, is that there?
Yes, there's
3
archaeological
million.
findings of Jews in
No,
Egypt.
I never said
I'm
that.
not saying you're looking for 3 million
Yeah,
specifically.
that number.
I'm not. That's not how archaeology works.
No.
That is
no.
not
I'm
how
asking
archaeology
you.
works.
I'm asking you.
There
I'm
is
asking you.
there evidence of Jews in Egypt
Yes,
at that time?
yes.
That's where I stand. Halas at that point.
What do you mean?
That's where I
Khalas?
stand.
Your point, your belief of the 3 million comes from the Bible.
Yeah,
It's not from- it's not from-
that's the claim. But there is evidence of Jews in Egypt at that time. That was enough
Yeah.
for me to know that the claim can be true.
Does that mean that it is 3 million?
I don't care if it's 3 million or not. That was enough for me to know that Jews were in Egypt. That's all I need to
No,
know.
but I'm
I didn't
asking-
even know it was 3 million until you just said it, bro.
When they calculate the number
Yeah.
of men, the number of children, the number of women.
So the 3 million does not matter.
Yeah.
It's the fact that matters is that
No.
there was Jews
No.
in Egypt.
But
That's
I'm
an
saying-
historical
what I'm
finding.
saying to you it does because you believe in that. You
I
believe
don't.
that based on the
What does
Bible.
the 3 million have to do with my salvation? I just have to accept that Jews were in Egypt at a
Yeah.
specific time. I don't have to look for a specific number.
Look at
You're
this.
looking for a specific
I'll tell
number.
you why. Because the 3 million only comes from the scripture. It doesn't come from archaeological evidence.
Yes, and the
Okay.
scripture is an historical account.
Okay. So my point is this.
So
yeah?
it verifies it.
If a man says now that he writes down that Queen Elizabeth died recently and King Charles is the new king, and in England they did this. Therefore, what's your name?
Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
No. Anyway, that my man, that my man is a thief.
Yeah.
Does that follow? Because I got the name of the
Those are. That's. What would I say?
No. How do you preserve
Oh, no.
it from omission, addition, or alteration? How do you preserve it from the Dead Sea Scrolls 200 BC?
Context. Like the context, the scenario that you just gave about the king and the queen, that is context enough to know for me to know who they're addressing. And if they're randomly addressing this other person who's, you said a liar or what did you say?
Well, if they said that a historian is writing in this day and age for generations later, and he's saying that you are a liar.
Yes. So
Because you got the king right
let's
and
look at
the
the
queen
context.
right.
Let's look at the context.
Yeah.
The context is the historian is writing about the kings and the queens. If he's then randomly writing about someone that is irrelevant to the story, his context does not matter. His context, that context flows at that point. We can still take the account of the historical account that he said, but we can either say, if we're finding it like 1,000 years from now, it's either that is the scribal error, either added in, or something totally different that he's trying to address. It doesn't make the historical. It's a false equivocation. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, because
it's a false equivocation.
You have in the Bible where it mentions names of kings, it mentions regions, it mentions wars, and then it goes to something specific. So that's the false equivocation that you have in your Bible. Then.
No, not necessarily. I think
What do you mean not necessarily?
that's a false equivocation upon
You've got,
what
for
you just
example,
said.
for example, you've got Abraham going into Egypt, and this was the Pharaoh at the time. You've got the people in the time of Abraham. Fair enough. But then it goes on to say that his first son was Ishmael, or the son that he sacrificed was Isaac. Okay, how do you get the detail? You can't just get the detail. Oh yeah, there was a Pharaoh in that time. Therefore, the name of his son that he sacrificed was Isaac.
Again,
Faith.
just like I said,
Yeah.
there are certain things that are led by faith, and there are certain things that are historically claimed.
But your faith is in those Jews.
No, that's not what I said. My faith is in God.
You say you
The
faith-
Jews
that's a nice
verify
claim.
my faith.
It sounds nice.
But I'm saying,
in reality,
no, you're strawmanning what I'm saying. That's the thing.
No.
The
I'm just
Jews
basically-
verify
I'm-
my faith.
How do they verify?
My faith is not in the Jews. The Jews verify my faith.
Scripture comes by these Jews.
If that's how you want to take it, then
Where else does it
easy
come
as.
from?
If-
Where can I get your scripture from? How do you
From my-
take your
from my Bible.
No, and that Bible is what? What version?
any version you want to pick
Okay,
up.
and does it take into consideration Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yes.
Okay, so that Bible, how do you take it?
Why
to Moses?
are you so racist? Why are you so racist? You're such a loser. You're such a loser. Move. Such a people every week calls me Rasta and some black racist name. Move, man. Allah, you're disgusting. Spit upon you, you're disgusting.
Anyway, my point is something you have to say. My point is that my point is this: that from prior to Jesus to Moses, you have a 1,200 year gap. You can say that you have faith in God, and that sounds nice, but in terms of demonstrating this, the only thing you have is manuscripts. That's where the problem starts.
It's
manuscripts and Jewish tradition. Now, my point is that when you unpick that Jewish tradition, there isn't really a Jewish traditional transmission.
All right, we've spoken about my position very well. Let's not flip the table. Let's be fair here. In accordance to like let me conclude in the point where like yes, there are going to be certain parts because history doesn't make an account of everything that happens to where we can just say that this person or Tuntu Cameron wrote this or this person wrote that. Yes, certain things, how history is tracked. Yes, there are certain things that historians are going to say we make assumptions. Believers are going to say we rely on faith. So that's my position. The historical account is in favor of my side, where there are people that lived that life, and they made an historical account, and then there are certain parts. Wait, they are historical people, right? They are saints, and they verify my faith.
The actual historical position.
Now let's talk about a different part of it.
Hang on, the actual historical position is that.
We're done with this. I understand, but let's talk about
the
a different
historical
part.
position is that in the time of Ezra, there was a redaction that happened with these texts.
You're adding more stuff that is. I know, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
No.
We're talking about preservation, not storyline. We're talking about preservation, not storyline. I understand.
You made the claim that this is the historical position. Go to the historians. They won't tell you what you're saying. They'll say that in the time of Ezra, there was a redaction. There was actually, in the Bible, it mentions that the whole Torah was lost. In the Jewish tradition you quote, it mentions that the whole Torah was lost and it was found in a box.
I beg to differ, but like, let's make it fair now. Let's talk about preservation of the Quran.
So what I said, my point was that our belief in heaven or hell, our belief in our salvation must come from trustworthy and precise sources.
So controlled
You have to be able
preservation.
to verify their precision and their trustworthiness. This is the basic for any narration. In Islam, when it comes to the statements and the actions and the approvals of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the bare minimum that we would accept is that it comes from trustworthy and reliable sources and precise sources.
Okay. Now let's examine those claims that you just made. Like something like how would you say you just described how the preservation works, but how would you testify to preservation of the hadith? I understand the chain of narration, but the chain of narration is not evidence that I can examine now. You're just giving me names. No, it's not. You're just giving me names of names. How can I know who the first person said? Okay. So how do you verify the chain of narration?
What we have are people that would check the precision of people. I'll give you an example. Say there are 10 people here now, yeah?
Yeah, that example is flawed. I know what you're going to say, like someone will correct the other person. The example is flawed. I'm trying to know what the first person said.
Hear the point, yeah? Let me land and then tell me
I
I'm wrong,
apologize,
yeah?
I apologize.
So you're the teacher today, yeah? And you got 10 students. Now, 10 of these students say that you said A, B, C. Sorry, 9 of these students say that you say A, B, C. One of them says you said X, Y, Z. All of them, in terms of their statements, they're kind of on equal footing.
Where am I in this position?
You're
Like,
the teacher.
I'm the teacher, but am I in the room after when they say it?
No. We want to understand what you said. Okay.
we want to
Now
understand
later
what I
on,
said.
we're taking the statement of these 10 people. 9 of them, all of them are on equal footing. Okay. 9 of them are saying you said A, B, C. One of them is saying you said X, Y, Z. So this one has opposed the majority, or he's opposed other eyewitnesses that were there. Therefore, we can say that it's more probable that these 9, because they're all on the same footing, that these 9 were correct, and this one has either a weakness in memory, or he's lying, or we can further investigate.
In terms of like the oral tradition, is that what you're saying?
That's an oral tradition, or it can be a written tradition as well. Now we can see that in order to understand what you really said, we can do that for your students. So now we've gone one level up. Now we want to understand that you now have a teacher, and that teacher has 9 other students apart from you. No, that means you're the 10th. So then I would check your statement against those other 9. Once I've seen that you're agreed and you're all agreed, I can say now that those 9 are correct, you 10 are correct. So now I know what your teacher said.
Okay, my question still stands. Where you answered a point really well, but I don't think that's the point that I was asking. Let's say the same scenario, the teacher gives it an objective to 10 people. 9 of them wrote it down correctly, and let's keep it to what it is, oral. 9 of them translated it correctly. 1 of them didn't. Yeah. If the teacher is not in the room to verify what the 9 say, how can we verify what the 9 say?
So those 9,
because they could be playing into conspiracy as well. Appealing to majority could also be appealing to conspiracy. So how can we verify what the 9 say?
So what we say that you speaking to those people in that sitting is a historical event. Okay. Now what?
How? You gotta elaborate. I want to know.
So you speaking to those people, regardless of what you said is true, or the meeting actually took place.
Okay. The meeting of asking what they said.
The meeting of those 10 and you, that actually took place. Now, in order to understand the events of that, we want to analyze each person. Basically, is the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So each thing has to be meticulously investigated. Each statement, each
how
person.
do you verify? That's the part that I'm asking to verify, because it's oral. How can me in the 21st century verify what Sahih Bukhari's student and the Sahih Bukhari's student said before Sahih Bukhari wrote it down?
Before him.
I mean, teacher said before Sahih Bukhari. How can I verify it in the 21st century?
So what we have now, which is different to other chains of transmission. The chains of the process of transmission in Islam, at every generation, you had people that would critique and check. It's not a dead process whereby we critique and check now. We have people in the time of Bukhari. Bukhari himself used to critique and check narrators. Now, we have at every generation the works of those people who have critiqued and checked other people. We have a process
so if one person gets something wrong and lies, should we take anything from what they said?
If they lie, intentionally lie.
If they even not intentionally, if they just don't remember, even if they can't remember.
There's a difference. I'll give you the example of Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari is considered to be the most
memorized 600,000.
the most stringent in his criteria. The difference between he was the most stringent in his criteria. One day he was taking a narration from a person, or went to somebody to take a narration from them, and he saw that he was pretending to feed his riding beast in order to get him in the stable. He was pretending that he had food in order for the riding beast to come towards him, so that he may put him in the stable and put him away. So Imam Bukhari said, if it's possible that he can deceive his riding beast,
that's not a qualification of verifying what the text is. I understand, but that's not a qualification.
Hear my point. if it's possible that he can deceive his riding beast, he may deceive me, or he may deceive
Misguide,
tell the truth
yeah.
with regards to the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
But that's not a verification. That raises more question.
That is overly stringent.
But that raises more question.
That's overly stringent. But what that shows you is that the criteria for accepting from people that were known to be upright and precise, that was definitely within the Islamic tradition, especially with the Amir al-Mu'minin fil Hadith, the leader of Muslims in Hadith, Imam Bukhari.
That raises more questions. I don't want to focus on someone and their goats or on their animals and all. I want to talk about Bukhari. Bukhari's
Bukhari's not taking narration from him, by the way.
I know. I don't want. I want to talk. I don't want to talk about that person.
Because he made trick.
That's more questions. That scenario saying that this is how you verify. So you're saying it's not Bukhari saw this man mislead his animals to get them into the stable. So Bukhari couldn't use his testimony because yes, that raises more questions because why does that qualify him from why does that disqualify him from narrating what he memorized?
What I said is overly stringent, meaning that when Bukhari does narrate from him, we know that the level of precision and trustworthiness that the person has is even greater than that.
But why does the animal, his trustworthiness of his animal, why does that also
stringent? It's been overly
that's not a qualification. I'm saying overly stringent is not a point. I would like to demonstrate why does it. I'm listening. No.
So that shows you whatever Bukhari does narrate has to be from something that is even more precise and more trustworthy than that person. And
so
if
the
that
person has to be not flammable.
Huh?
The person has to be.
No. For the most part. If this person
what do you mean for the most part?
For the most part, everybody.
You're raising more questions.
No, when you say fallible, when you say infallible, no, we don't ask for fallible. It's infallibility. We say for the most part that person is upright and trustworthy. For the most part, everyone's going to make mistakes, and even then, when we check these other narrations against each other, this is how we see the mistakes of the trustworthy people. He's trustworthy.
So here Bukhari used someone that was catering to his cattle or his animals, and then said because he catered to his animals differently, then he's not trustworthy. How does that make it a qualification?
That shows you that
it doesn't show me anything because it's text and animals. It doesn't show me anything. How does that verify?
You would have a day of celebration if you had that with the Bible. So don't tell me nothing.
Free preservation is far better.
No.
Free preservation is far better than control. Because at some point, if someone can control your narration, it's a problem in your theology.
No, it's not a
Why did
problem.
Uthman burn it? And then
oh my God!
That's the most controlled part of your preservation of your theology.
Do you agree?
Your Quran was controlled by Uthman to what you have now. Mine wasn't.
Was Uthman an eyewitness?
Yes, he was. He was an eyewitness
but
of
already
Muhammad.
stronger than what you have then.
But he also said Muhammad said Umayyad bin Ka'b is the best of the reciters. If you want to get the Quran, get it from him. Bukhari had conflict with Umayyad bin Ka'b. So how can we know that Bukhari was not? I mean, not Bukhari. Uthman had conflict with Umayyad bin Ka'b. So how can we know Uthman was not conspiring?
What was the conflict?
Because he didn't want to take his Quran.
Huh?
He didn't want to take his Quran.
No, don't lie. Don't
yeah,
lie.
it is.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
If I'm getting it wrong, then I apologize. But I think that's what narrative is.
You're getting it wrong. There was
What was the conflict then?
Hang on. There was consensus of the Sahaba. Consensus of the Sahaba in the time of Uthman that what Uthman did is correct. There was consensus.
I don't care. Appealing to majority does not make your point. Prove the verification.
That's dead.
Not appeal.
That's
Appealing
dead.
to a majority does not.
That's dead.
So please don't appeal to authority. Let's actually examine.
All the eyewitnesses in the time of the Prophet.
I don't care about the eyewitnesses. How do you prove it?
You're not letting me speak.
I know, but you're going somewhere else.
No. You're the one that brought up Uthman burning the Quran.
Yes,
and
it's controlled preservation.
Bukhari.
How do you? The 7 arrows are dead.
Hang on. Now you're jumping because
it's a part of the preservation of Uthman. That's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about Bukhari leading his, seeing a man lead his horse to the stable. I said following on from that therefore Bukhari was overly stringent. So therefore, whatever Bukhari relates, we can be confident in it because he was so strict. Okay, in his
that does not verify someone being strict. I understand.
In Sahih Bukhari, he's very stringent. In other books, for example, Adab al-Mufrad, is not as stringent. Okay, so he has a lesser criteria. But in general, the criteria for hadith is something that is proof checked and demonstratable. We can see the names of these people. We can see what their peers, hear my point. We can see what their peers have said about them. We can see what their contemporaries have said about them, and we can cross-check them like I've demonstrated. Now, when it comes to you, in your book, when you say that what we have is weak, hang on. When you're saying what we have is weak, you would do a backflip right now if you had even a weak hadith that we have. So don't come here and tell me that it's weak. You would do a backflip. You would get on your knees and say hallelujah.
Christians, listen to this. Christian,
your strongest
listen,
hadith.
No. Can I speak?
I just want to show you. I mentioned about Bukhari.
Well, what's my?
I want to talk about your gospel now.
No, we're still talking about. So you haven't answered my question.
We're talking about criteria.
Yes, but
we're talking about criteria.
You haven't answered my question yet. You just spoke about someone who couldn't take care of their animals. I want to talk about the oral. I'm talking about the criteria. But then the criteria.
You don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but you gave me a criteria, and then you gave me an example of the criteria. I don't take.
What does that show about Bukhari?
Bro, you haven't answered my question. Please answer my question. How do you verify the oral tradition? How do you verify the oral tradition? No, you gave me an example of
that you weren't happy with.
No, it's not an example that I wasn't happy with. Let's talk about it.
One of them,
let's talk about it. Let's talk about the hadith. Let's talk about the hadith that you spoke about.
What is it?
Let's talk about the hadith that you. No, it's not.
You can take the
it's not even.
Because
you're not letting me speak.
No, you're not letting me speak.
You have hooked up the whole position for like very long.
Listen,
you gotta let. It's a back and forth.
No.
It's a conversation.
Right now.
All right, let me know when I can speak.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
when I can speak.
So right now, you're just saying I haven't answered this. I haven't answered that.
You haven't.
Well, you're saying it again, but I've showed you methods that we've used that are demonstratable to this day, where if 9 narrators, we can get it right now.
That is not an answer, that's an analogy.
I'll tell you, I'll let you know when I'm finished, yeah? And I will let you know when I'm finished, and I'll let you speak, don't worry. So, when to this day, we have chains of transmission that have different turuq, different chains, we can cross-reference them and see that these ones, the majority of them, or the strongest ones, they have, say one thing, and this other one says something else, therefore it's more probably go with that. That's the majority, that's one thing. Now we can have 9, I'll give you more, we can have 9 people that are weak and 1 person is strong. So it's not about the majority, it comes down to the precision of that person.
What? I mean, that just debunks your analogy.
I'll let you know when I'm done.
Okay.
I'll let you know when I'm done.
Okay. Thank you for debunking your analogy, by the way.
No, it's not, because you don't understand it. When I said earlier about the 10 people, as I mentioned on equal footing. When I talked about 9 people and 1 person that is strong, that's not equal footing. 9 liars is not the same as 1.
What qualifies on equal footing?
In terms of what we know about them, in terms of their trustworthiness, in terms of their precision.
How does that verify what they preserve?
I'll tell you, I'll let you know when I'm done, yeah? So that's one way.
Okay, because you're making more points than that is worthy of more questions.
I'll let you know.
I'm really trying to get to these questions.
That's clear, demonstrable ways. Now, when it comes to applying this criteria from a Christian point of view, you're not concerned about precision. You're not concerned about truthfulness. In fact, you can take from unknown sources. That's what
we have free preservation. How you doing, man? God bless you.
An unknown source.
How you doing, man? God bless you, man.
Is not valid. That's called the hadith is weak because somebody inside it is mash'ul, is unknown.
We have free preservation. That you know the difference between the difference between free preservation and.
Demonstrate to me this.
I would like. No. You still haven't answered my question.
I haven't let you know when I'm finished. I'll end on this.
Okay.
I'll end on this. You believe in the Gospel of John with the highest.
You're jumping into another question now. Let's focus about what I asked you. Please, let's focus. Let's talk about the oral tradition in the Quran. No, when is he going to finish? Can you tell me when he's going to finish?
No. When's he going to tell you?
Please, let's talk about what I asked you.
I'll let you know when
because you're asking something else. How do you verify the oral tradition? How do you? No, that's not verification. You gave me an analogy. You've given me. No, you haven't given me. Can you please verify how you prove the oral tradition? I asked you how Sahih Bukhari would know what the first person said. You gave me an analogy. An analogy is not evidence. It's an analogy. I can probably say, yes, your analogy can stand to logic, but it doesn't prove what was happening. How does Sahih Bukhari know verbatim what the first person said from Muhammad?
Okay, I've explained that, but
it's not. No, it's an analogy. I'll
explain it again. So, for example, Bukhari takes from his teacher Ahmed, from so on and so forth, back to Malik, back from Nafi'i, back from Ibn Umar, back from the Messenger of Allah.
How do you prove that right? How do you prove that right?
That is called the golden chain. I'm speaking. That is the golden chain. Now we know, for example, the biography of Bukhari. We know his stringency in taking narrations like I'm speaking, like we've mentioned.
Okay.
Now we know
you still haven't said when you finish
don't tell me
speaking.
once.
I understand, but I'm listening. He's spoken a lot. I haven't spoken much. He's spoken a lot. He has spoken a lot. You have spoken a lot.
Because I'm saying it again, you're saying you haven't said it. So here's what I'm saying. Okay. So Bukhari, for example, Malik, the Imam of Medina, the author of the book Muwatta, that is spread from the east and the west, specifically in the west of the Muslim lands, with so many chains of transmission going back to him. He himself was a student of Nafi. Nafi was the freed slave of Ibn Omar. Ibn Omar was the Sahabi of and companion of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We have the biography of Imam Malik. We know his stringency in narrating hadith and how precise he was. We can cross-reference that against his peers and against others. We do the same with Nafi, we do the same with Ibn Omar, who's a Sahabi, and therefore that is an unbroken chain with, according to their peers and their contemporaries, trustworthy and precise people that narrated and understood the gravity of what they say. Now, that is one example. If we were to now look at the Christian idea of John, for example, all the I am statements before Abraham was I am, that's in John. John, the end of it says, this is the statement of
John is an eyewitness of Jesus.
Huh?
John is an eyewitness of Jesus.
Pardon? John is an eyewitness.
That's where the transmission.
John is an eyewitness of Jesus, and John gave it to who?
John is an eyewitness of Jesus.
John gave it to who?
That before the text was written. We're not talking about the succession after. We're talking about the succession to the one to come. John is a direct eyewitness of Jesus Christ. So that's where the chain of narration goes to.
Okay.
Jesus,
and the
John.
Gospel of John was written by John.
Yes.
Okay. In the end of the Gospel of John, John 21, it says, "This is the disciple who testifies of these things, and we trust that his testimony is true." Who's the we?
I would like to. I don't know. I would like to look in. I would have to look into.
Hang on.
John is a direct. The chain of narration for John and Jesus Christ is Jesus, then John. You asked me the question.
You ain't answered. I'm doing
okay.
you now. I'm doing you.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Say that again.
Thank you very much.
Say that again.
Well, the chain of transmission. The chain of transmission. That you're asking a different question. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the chain of transmission. You're looking for a specific. You're looking for a scribal error. We're talking about a chain of transmission. You're looking for a scribal error. That's a totally different argument. That is a totally different argument. So let's talk about the chain of narration. The chain of narration between John and Jesus Christ is John, Jesus Christ. That's it.
Okay.
John wrote it down.
Okay, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
That is it.
I'm not just going to say, unlike you, I'm not going to just say you're wrong. I'm going to show you.
I'm asking. When it comes to your part, I'm only asking questions.
I'm going to show you why
because the position that you're taking creates more questions that you just leave it on the trust me, bro. And I wouldn't want to.
No, there's no trust me, bro.
How can I know? How can I know? Sahih Bukhari and his teachers before him didn't conspire to preserve the text.
I've given you the demonstrable way.
By giving me name is not demonstrated.
Now with your thing now, when it comes to John 21. Now this is the
you're going into scribal error. We're talking about chain of transition. We're talking but you're talking about something else.
No,
it seems like you want to go somewhere else. Now we're going in circles at this point. We're going to have to leave at this point.
So who is the
you can give your conclusion because I think it's a circular conversation.
I've demonstrated with practical examples that can still be read and demonstrated to this day. Unlike your belief about let me land.
Yes.
That can still be demonstrated to this day. That's why there are still scholars of hadith like Nasruddin al-Albani who still cross-reference and check hadith today, and many ulama like them, Sheikh Rabi, many other scholars of hadith. This is a living tradition that is ongoing today with the demonstration and verification of the previous people. Unlike you, which is the real trust me, bro. You don't have the real trust me, bro. Now to give the example, when you have the Gospel of John, which has the highest Christology,
this is conclusions, by the way.
The highest Christology with the highest I am statements. Before Abraham was I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Amen.
Yeah, all of these statements, it comes through somebody who is writing in the first person. This person who is writing in the first person plural. We testify, talking about, let's say it's John, it doesn't even say John, that we're talking about John, the disciple, that this person who's writing says, we testify that his testimony, let's assume it's John, we testify that John's testimony is true. So who is the we that is giving you the actual text? Who is the we?
I appreciate that. I'll look into it. Thank you very much. Very nice conversation, by the way. I know we go back and forth, but like,
that's fine.
you know, me and you are
May God
calm.
guide us to the truth wherever
Amen.
it is. Amen.
Amen. God bless you. God bless you. Well,
Who's this one?
it's probably one of you guys. Well, this is it, guys. Like, nice conversation with the brother. Oh, sorry, remind me your name.
Anwar.
Yab.
Yab. I prefer Yab to what you said earlier.
I like trolling sometimes. Allow me. You know, God bless you. So, again, I just want to demonstrate the difference between controlled preservation and free preservation. We spoke about preservation today, and we spoke about certain scribal error. I'm going to put it into one big conclusion. There is a difference between scribal error. There is a difference between controlled preservation and free preservation. In free preservation, the text of God is not controlled. There is not one person we can point directly to and say, yes, this is where the change happened. Like Uthman burning the Quran, the change happened then. The Arufs died, the Qur'ans died in Uthman's timing. When it comes to free preservation, God's writing is perfect. When it comes to the Bible, God's writing is perfectly preserved in accordance to human nature. Yes, humans are going to have scribes. Yes, human scribes are going to make errors. Yes, there are going to be certain things that are going to be lost throughout time. It's human nature, because human beings and anything in this world is not perfect. But free preservation allows everyone that don't have any communication between each other for them to write any part of the text that they want to. And we can analyze it together to say, okay, these people that don't know this person, they wrote the same thing. It is more preserved. But if everyone that knows this person say, okay, what he said is verifiable, my question was to him, I should have asked the question like, who was the original lie, and how did Bukhari get the lie after? You know, because if the first person lied, how does Bukhari know the first person didn't lie? Because there are certain parts in the Quran where it says Muhammad used to wipe semen, or he used to wear Aisha's clothing. How can we verify if Bukhari wasn't lying and if the first person wasn't lying? But with free preservation, if anyone's allowed to write everything they want, they are allowed to. We will get different texts if it wasn't preserved by God. But yet we have all the same Bible, different places, and we thank the one true God because we do not have controlled preservation. We do not have one point where we say, oh yeah, this is where the Bible changed, you know. And we thank Jesus Christ because He still preserves His word till this day. Amen.